For all you wondering, these are the tools that you're going to need for this project to install the bracket and frame. I used a Dremel with a disc to cut the plate portion where it'll go around the wire as the frame is going on. You are going to need a T27 to remove the stock bracket. You will need a T8 to put the new license plate frame on, because the bracket comes with specific screws and it uses a T8. So I pretty much I'm using these heat shrinks instead of doing a solder and a heat shrink. It's like all in one pretty much. You can get away with this size perfectly. A heat gun, a cutter, and that's about it. All right, have a good one. So we start off with a T27. Take off the bolts. Put them aside because you're gonna have to reuse them when you're installing the new bracket. After you remove the two mounting bolts, you're gonna need a 11 millimeter. You're gonna need a small box to be able to fit up. There's a triangular plastic that in a lot of videos it shows that they're just popping off. It doesn't just pop off. There's literally a bolt. This is, mind you, a 2020 CVO, and there is a bolt. You don't have to completely take it off. Loosen it where you can actually get that box diverted over. It clears up the space to open up the plug. Mind you, it's very short, so you will literally need to get back in there and move the plug over. It'll come off the fender inside. Then you'll get enough spacing where you can pull it out, unplug it from inside. Let's get this off. We won't be needing that. Once you get it to this point, it'll just come out. So again, this is for a 2020 Streetlight CVO. They are a little bit different, but we're gonna make everything work just like the rest of the photos and videos out there. At this point, pretty much you're gonna end up with the bracket and two bolts that remove the bracket from. Now, BreakersBrackets comes in a very nice packaging. This is pretty much what's going to replace this. It comes with the hardware for your plate, two rubber washers so it'll sit back up against your fender as to not scratch your fender. I did go ahead and order the custom dynamics LED license plate frame. As you can see, it comes with its own hardware. It comes with a very long wire. At this point, you're gonna have to take it apart, measure it, cut it to the amount you're gonna need, and we will need to cut the plug off the back of the OEM one. You don't need to cut it too short, you don't need to cut it too long, just enough to be able to utilize this with this. All right, now before you begin cutting, you should put the both brackets and the frame together, run it up against your fender to see if everything lines up perfectly before you start cutting into your OEM and then finding out it's not going to fit correct, or it's too short or too long. So what I'm going to do is run a little test. And as you can see, it comes with a very long wire, which you will not need. Seems like a perfect fit. Once the plate goes on, it will cover everything where the bolts go, and you'll screw them in to the bracket. All right, remove this, start cutting and soldering. You can either solder, or if you want, you use heating tubes, heat shrink, wire solder connectors, just like these. And then if you want, you can shrink tube them, even though this does make it all waterproof in one shot. So it's completely going to be up to you. I am going to use it. I'm going to use smaller shrink tubes. I have to make sure that everything fits through this stock hole with that plug. You don't want to make it too big, or you have too much tape, doesn't fit through, then you have to keep pulling it out, and so on and so forth. All right, then get to cutting and soldering these. After you're done soldering them together, you should end up with something like this. Again, do not make it too long. Then you're gonna have to squeeze it in there and fit it in there. You make it long enough where it'll go through the bracket, yet be able to fit in there nicely and not take up too much crazy amounts of space. Now is a good time to pretty much check to see if the LEDs are functioning. I'm gonna plug it in and turn on the bike, and let's see what happens. Go. Let's see. The LEDs. So now turn it back off, disconnect it, and start getting ready to put it all together. Just a little notation. So the card that Custom Dynamics sends their license plate frame with does come with this card inside. As you can see, there's a notch right here. Put your plate on it or under it, draw it out, cut that portion out so that it has a cleaner fit. You do not take the chance of binding up against the wire, cutting the wire, or so on and so forth.